Men of Reddit, when have you experienced sexism? The one that pissed me off the most was when my daughter was 14. She was having problems with her mother and it was decided that she would come live with me. I lived in another state. I got her moved in and went to enroll her in school. I had the unenrollment papers from her old school that were signed by her mother. I also had her birth certificate, social security card, and immunization records. The new school wouldn't allow me to enroll her until my ex-wife sent a notarized letter stating that I hadn't kidnapped my daughter and that she was allowed to live with me. I was freaking pissed at the double standard. They tried to tell me it was standard procedure for single parents. A single mother that overheard called bullet, saying they never required her to do that. They tried to tell me it was standard procedure for single parents. A single mother that overheard called bullet, saying they never required her to do that. Good on her for doing that. I know that I'm far from alone in this, but I've gotten it at public places. I'm an involved dad. When my oldest daughter was young, I would take her to ballet class. While we waited for her class, I'd grab a storybook, she'd sit in my lap, and I would read. I'm an expressive reader, kids love it, and I would invariably have multiple little girls hanging around me, trying to get up into my lap so they could see, and I would just cringe from the looks around the room. Even when I was actively discouraging it, honey, I'm not your dad. I don't think your mum wants you to sit with me. Eventually, the moms got to know me and decided I was okay, but it was not comfortable for a while. At the park, I push my kids on the swings, I chase them around, etc. Other kids tend to want to join in. I have to be super careful, else I'll get everything from the stink eye to rude comments. And of course, the condescending comments are the best. No, lady, I'm not a weekend dad. I'm not giving their pool mother a break. I'm her here 24/7, 365. I spend time with my kids every day. I look forward to sharing moments. Bite me. My husband has built up a Nerf arsenal and likes to play with our son outside when it's nice. Mostly the parents know it's fine, but occasionally a neighborhood kid we don't know well will join and his parents will flip the frick out. I have to be on standby to explain that we live in this complex and my husband isn't a pedo. Never had a little girl join in. I once had to calm a mother literally screaming at him in front of 10 kids about how he needs to stay away from the children and he's a creep, because he hugged a little girl, who was actually a long-haired boy, and our son. Getting accused of being a sexual predator for holding my 4-year-old grandson's hand. Should have told them he was leading you to his pedal van full of candy. Now I'm imagining a 4-year-old kid raping 70-year-old men by luring them to his van with Werther's Original. I took my dog to an agility class once. I was the only male there and younger, by 20+ years, than most of the women there. The woman running the class singled me out many times, saying that I was inherently worse at training my dog, because males lack patience. She also criticized me throughout the class, because my command voice sounded angry and I was only allowed to offer praise to my dog. She said men often don't get this concept. I decided my dog didn't like agility training. We just play frisbee instead. You sound angry. Are you typing this in your command voice? My ex became aggressive and told me she was going to destroy everything in my apartment. Called the police. He told me to leave. You're lucky you didn't get arrested. Yep. So many calls of domestic issues end with the man being at fault regardless of what happened. The cops take the arrest him and we will figure it out later approach. Once had an ex bite me super hard and wouldn't let go, because she was mad. I had never been in so much pain in my entire life. I couldn't get her off of me, so I resorted to punching her so she would let go. Next day, she had a black eye. And yeah, you guessed it. She took about 80 selfies and posted them all social media saying I abuse her. I lost track of how many threats I received, as it was all over Instagram, Facebook. Luckily, my close friends believed me since they knew she was a crazy bitch. I still have the bite scar on my neck to this day. This wasn't the first time she abused me. It just happened to be the last. Should have replied to the threats with the bite marks on your neck. It's quite impossible to bite yourself on the neck. Especially not hard enough to scar. My ex used to punch me. A lot. Never in the face, but pretty much everywhere else. When I asked her to stop, she would hit me harder just because she knew I couldn't do anything about it. She'd even tease me about not fighting back. She would really lay into it too. When she did it in public, people, friends included, would just assume that I deserved it. I learned to accidentally move so that her knuckles would hit bone and she'd hurt her own hand while punching me. Yes, this was my first relationship and a long high school, college disaster. I was too young and stupid to just leave. When I was 17, I worked at Taco Bell and a customer fell asleep at the drive-thru speaker. I was the only guy on a staff of teenage, middle-aged women who all started arguing about who had to go check on him until the one I got along with the least chirped out, "Make that freaking loser do it. He's a guy." I started arguing with her as I was elbow deep in dirty dishes that needed to get clean and she said, "You're a guy, asshole. We're women. He might have a gun. Like somehow having a wiener makes me bulletproof. Your username makes this that much better." Well, here goes, I guess. I lived across the street from her, now ex-friend, we'll call her Laura, who had a new daughter that we'll call Penny, a year and some change old. Slightly relevant that the father was not in the picture. Now, I'm usually not a kid person. Any of them below 8th grade or so are like kryptonite to me. For whatever reason, I love this kid. She had a smile that melted my heart and made whatever paternal instincts I have kick in. Full bore would lay down my life to make sure this little rugrat was okay. Always watched Penny when Laura had to work or go to class since I was a bartender at the time and had most of the day off. My then girlfriend was always home as well, so it was fun to giggle at the whole baby idea. We'd go to the park, take nice strolls around the neighborhood. Then, one day, my then girlfriend left the house to go run some random task and it was just myself hanging out with Penny. Laura got home early and came to pick her up, put her hair into the customary time to go for it ponytail thing, because it's funny, damn you, and handed her over when her mom got to the door and had the "how did the day go" chit chat. Eventually, Laura asked where girlfriend was and went silent when I told her she was out and about. Snatched up all the baby gear without a word and practically booked it across the street. Very long story I'll condense from here on out. We didn't get to watch Penny anymore, which broke my heart, and our interaction with Laura stopped. Which was fine, because I'm a stubborn bastard and will play the cold shoulder game until the day I die. A couple months later, it came about that Laura was fine with both the girlfriend and I watching Penny, but not me by myself, because, I'm sure you saw it coming, I'm a guy and inherently a pedophile and would abuse her child the first moment I could get. I still miss the little booger. I didn't really mind, because it was semi-endearing sexism, but these older ladies called me brave for taking my then 10-month-old out to lunch all by myself. I was like, shut up baby, I know it. Worked with a girl who used to purposely rub her body against me when we were in a narrow back corridor and again brushing my ass with her hand when reaching round me for stuff etc. Always was changing when I finished my shift in the back corridor, where the lockers were. No need to change there, no one else did. Told the assistant manager, more for advice than anything, and she just laughed her ass off about it. If you told her to stop and she didn't, then that is 100% unacceptable. Frick her. I think that's the opposite of what he was trying to do. Worked in a female-dominated industry as an intern and was told on a regular basis that it was a female-dominated field and that she aimed to keep it that way, on top of constantly being told to stop fricking the women when I was not. Please hire an employment attorney. That is sexual discrimination at the workplace and should be punished. Unfortunately, as an intern, I doubt he had the resources to hire an attorney. Just because I'm good with kids doesn't mean I am a pedophile who wants to rape them. Or another one. I was once at a place where it was strictly enforced that in the cafeteria the girls had to in front of the boys in line. Not at all that I am anti-chivalry, but you could be waiting for 20 minutes in the same spot just because girls came. And the girls usually felt awkward about it as well. What's wrong with equality? Whoever gets to line first gets served first, regardless of gender. The pedophile assumptions are the freaking worst. I had a pretty terrible one at a 4th of July festival in 2013. I was 24 and had this huge, curly mustache. Like 18 inches from end to end. I'm holding my 2-year-old goddaughter in my arms and walk up to the petting zoo so that she can see the goats, sheep, etc. This woman at the petting zoo looks at me and immediately points at me and yells stranger danger, while running off with her kids, 2 in a stroller, 1 in hand. Everyone stared at me like I was a pedophile. Felt like I had to bail, so I did, and my goddaughter didn't get to pet a single farm animal. This woman at the petting zoo looks at me and immediately points at me and yells stranger danger. That's just weird. Years ago, I was traveling on British Airways and was asked to move because there was an unaccompanied minor sat next to me. It was an absolutely humiliating and upsetting experience to be assumed as some sort of a threat just because I'm male. Ended up on the verge of suing them before getting compensated, credits and a formal apology.